first speakers are Jørn and Hanne from Danfoss. Fantastic work that they're doing over at Danfoss, and I was inspired on one of our Swoop masterclass sessions from our Swoop Academy, where Jørn was sharing a piece of work that they'd done, and I said, oh, that's something that would be fantastic to share. So there's some real gems in this presentation. It's talking about how Danfoss uses really clear and proactive governance to make sure the focus is on quality intranet content. I will say no more on that front other than to hand over to Jørn and Hanne to please share your screen. I know you've got some slides prepared. I'll hand over to you, and if you're able to share screen, that would be fantastic. Please fire away.
Thank you, Pete. I will share my screen in a second. It should be...
We see it.
Can you see it now? Now I can also see it. And well, some very nice words from Pete. I hope we can live up to the speech he did. We didn't pay him anything, so but we will do our best to live up to it. So, unveiling some secrets from our journey here. So let's move on. So just quick about our company. We will not spend much time on that, just so that you know what we are talking about. So we come from Danfoss. It's a private-owned company with headquarters in Denmark. Headquarters is very outside on the countryside, so fields and then a big building. That's where we are sited. We have more than 42,000 colleagues around the world. We are in more than 100 countries, and the rest you can read by yourself, because this is not the most important, but this is just the corporate stuff that we just needed to share with you guys. So let's move on to the important part. So a bit about our internet. So it's called Danfoss Globe. We launched it in multiple steps during 2023. Actually, first step was in 2022, but that was a very, very silent go live. We have 425 page editors and 99 news editors. So there's a lot of people who can do content, good content, and also could do a lot of mess if we do not try to control what they are doing. And that is what we will tell you about today. How can we manage all these people and get a completely awesome internet out of it? So how did we do it? As I said, we came from an old internet, and actually both Hanne and me were part of creating that. We had some governance, but not actually the governance we really liked to have, because people were just running in all kinds of directions, and we didn't really have control of what's going on. So we had a lot of, sorry for my English, crap in there that we really wanted to clean up now that we did a new internet. So what we will share with you today is, so how did we manage it? So about set the governance, take content ownership, get the basics right, train for skill, and then a stronger community. So these are the headlines. So let's move on with that. So about set the governance. So the way we are organized around our internet is that we have actually 4 owners teams within Danfoss. So it's communications, where Hanne and me are from. Then we have global service. This is a global service organization that goes across Danfoss. They own all the buildings. They make sure everything gets cleaned and stuff like that. Then we have HR, and then we have our IT department called Digital and IT. We are the owners. That gives us a very strong foundation when we decide something. Then we can, everyone go in the same direction. So these 4 teams where we are part of, we own the digital employee experience. Then we have IT. They are taking care of all the technical stuff, the solutions. They make sure that everything is running. It's based on, maybe I didn't say that, on Microsoft SharePoint, our new internet. So it's Microsoft everything. Global service, they do the support around our editors. If they have some issues, they can call them. They will take care of that. Everything around user experience, this is communication. This is basically Hanne and me taking care of that. And then, of course, we have all our users and editors and whatever, everything around that. And I will come more into that. And one thing that I think you all know, it's very important that you do the stakeholder management. And by us having all these owners, it makes it much easier for us if we decide something and tell them, hey, this is the way we do, then there's not so much complaint from the rest of the organization because we have all these areas behind us and we get the message out. So this is really important that you have your stakeholders in place and you know how to deal with them. So a bit about the roles and descriptions that we have in Danfoss. You can see here we have an area owner, or could also be called a hub owner. These are the one who owns an area on our intranet. You cannot have an area unless you have an area owner or a hub owner. So these are the ones who are responsible for all the content that is within this area. It's a bit like a beekeeper making sure that everything goes smoothly and stuff like that. Then within these areas, there can be different sites. This is like the queen bee, they rule within their own area, but still they have to comply to what the area owner is sending them and what we are telling the area owner. So they run their small kingdoms in democracy, and then we make sure that that works. And then we have the editors. That's a little bit like the, what do you call it, the worker bee. They run around and do all the work and make sure everything works, and then come back to the queen bee and tell her, oh, it's done. This is how it works. So we have set up clear roles and descriptions. And when you get the presentation afterwards, there's an even deeper description of behind each of these roles, what we require of them, because there's a lot of stuff that we expect from the different roles that we didn't put in here because it would take too much time to explain everything about these roles. But clear roles have shown us this is the way to go so everyone knows what is their responsibility. Get the basic right, Hanne. I think that's your turn, so I will be quiet for a while.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Nurka used the bee analogy. I think I will talk a little bit more like football or any other game, because now we basically have all the players on the field, right? Now we just need all of us to agree upon what game are we actually playing, and more importantly, what are the rules of the game that we are playing. And this is where we set the foundation. Some is given from communication or our branding department. What are the design principles? How do we want each of the sites to actually appear? What is the look and feel we would like? That is more given from central point of view, where we created a Danfoss Globe Lookbook, simply articulating the different views and design principles. With the platform like SharePoint, you have so many options with the web parts available. You can present links, for instance, or quick links in many different ways. How is the Danfoss way of doing it? So that we have some super nice experience for the end user across the different pages. Other things was not centrally done. It was more, for instance, the templates. We actually invited the stakeholders in and asked them, what is the important piece of information you would like if we are talking segment main page, or if we are talking like a regional area. And then we collaboratively created the templates. There are also some editor tutorials, really small tips and tricks and videos shared with them. Nurka will come back to that later. With the playing field, the game, and the players set, Nurka, we are ready to actually start looking at. You can flip the slide, please. Yeah, we are now actually ready to really start working with the area owners, the site owners, and the editors. And as Nurka mentioned, we came from a intranet setup where we had the organizational approach. Now we wanted to go towards the more topic-based approach. And in that scenario, there is a lot of content review. So we had a big clarification phase and an activation phase. The clarification phase, the first step was evaluating the existing content. What will fly? What should die? What should be archived? What should be rewritten? And then identify, especially now that we are talking about the topic-based approach, which different knowledge hubs or topic areas would we introduce going forward? And here we had an approach where we are looking at a clarification canvas. That will be the next slide, so I will come back to that. What are the different tasks? What is the requirement for taxonomy? And of course, people could train and test out different functionality. And then we had the activation phase. If you move forward.
Maybe we should also mention that none of the old stuff from the internet was moved automatically. They have to review everything and rebuild everything from scratch again. We didn't want to have anything of this old crap into the new internet. So,
it's of course, we know we have dedicated colleagues. They don't go to work to create not nice information, but there is also always something to communicate. And there is also a cleanup required. Could you move forward, Nurka?
Yes, that was one too many. Sorry, here we are.
So what we did was actually outlining for each of the existing area. I took IT here as an example, saying, hey, you have so and so many pages on the existing intranet. You have some additional pages that might be within your area and something else that could be the area owner's responsibility. And then we asked them, this is an example of how you can actually evaluate the content. Is it critical, nice to know, always on, and of course with some guidance on what should then happen with the content. So we created that for all the stakeholders that we worked with and started out with a session with this as a focus. And next was actually identifying what are the different areas of information that should be on the intranet. And here we introduce something called a clarification canvas. And you can actually say it's sort of a contract that we make. Editing, we want to build it as a skill. And we are in here for the long run. So with our dear editors and area owners and site owners, we wanted to sort of make a contract that, yes, there's room for you on the intranet if we agree upon what is it you want to bring. How do you want to keep it alive? But it's also a contract in the sense that they might have requirements for us for something that the solution should be able to do or that they need our support with. So it's a two-way street. It's not just us trying to put them into a fixed form. The clarification canvas is, it was a PowerPoint slide like you see here. We talk about what is the target audience, who are you communicating to? What is the main purpose? Articulate what it is, maybe also what it's not, because there might come someone else later and want to also talk about this topic or some border area of the topic. And we should actually make sure that we include the relevant information into an area like this. There could be something about what does good look like, the KPIs, what is it we want to achieve, and special decisions. We always hear this, but this piece of content, even though no one reads it and we really don't keep it up to date, but because of legal responsibility, it needs to be on there. Yeah, fine. Let's not discuss that, but make a note on it. So then we know this should live in there. There is a reason why it's in there. It could also be other things listed. And then the roles. Who is the responsible person for the area? Who can actually do edits? Who is responsible for doing the cleanup? If something happens, if larger changes happen, who should you keep informed? And then the review. As I said before, we are in here for the long run. So we don't just build content and now you go and rock the boat and do all the fancy stuff you want. We actually want to come back and realign on the contract. Look at how did it perform? what does the platform do for you? How can we support you even better? Has the purpose changed a little bit? Then let's note it down so we are all aware. And we are not trying to squeeze you into a corner where you're not supposed to be anymore. Is there two canvases that are almost alike? Should we merge them? Things like that is what we use this canvas for. And if you go one slide forward, maybe you noticed on the first, one of the first slides where we did an overview that we have, I think it's 158 sites. We actually put it into a list or a document library and added a few additional columns where we could keep track of the status. That's column number 1. Of each of the sites. So they could be, now it's requested, then we will take a look or have a meeting with them. Then it would be approved. Then we would create the URL that they can actually start adding content to, and they can do it right away when we agree upon this is good to fly. Then they can just start building it. Then they will be in a building mode for a period of time. We will review every single site before it's launched. Simply again to align, are we meeting the criteria set? Is it following the lookbook? Is it following the design principles that we agreed upon? Are you using the right templates? Stuff like this. And then we would publish it. So you can see a lot of them have the purple hub published. We could, of course, follow the maturity while they were building. We asked, also for us, it was a lot of hard work to review all of this. So we would like to know, how far are you? When are we supposed to take a look at your site? So we introduced this maturity. And the next column, review complete date. I realize there's only one date in here, but that's basically because now we are 1 year ahead. Everything has been reviewed before it went live. And now here 1 year later, we will take the annual review and then we will start to list the review date. Then there is an overview of who is the different owners of the site and the editors and the URL and so forth. And we might build this more mature when we move a little bit further on. So it could be that we will turn it into an app. But this is version 1, and it was quite easy to work with and something that everyone had access to. So they could really take a look, follow, do their updates in here. It's not only for us to do the updates, it's actually for those that own the pages.
Maybe I can add here that even though that we closed down the old internet, there were some pages that were not approved. So that was just tough luck. If they didn't live up to our requirements and we thought they were not ready, they would not be published before they were ready. So there were some areas that came on few days after, or a week, or sometimes even 2 weeks after, because we really want to have this high level of quality and make sure that it lives up to our ideal of how we wanted to have. So, but luckily, no, really, people were mad at us. They were really saying, yeah, this is actually cool that you're taking this approach. We want to have quality in what we are doing. So that was actually a nice experience for us, because we thought that they was thinking of what of all these are really the bad, annoying people, but people were actually really happy about that we took this stand. No, we are not going live before you live up to our standards. So that was a positive learning from us.
I think it's also fair to say that because of this review approach, you have the ongoing conversation. And that actually also gave us a lot of more insights on, we also need to document this, or maybe we should do some extra training on this, or maybe we should support here and actually apply a more modernized approach to sharing information or creating information. So it helped us building the governance while we were flying. That's how it is often. So it was a conversation more than a
Hannah and Jørn, I'm gonna be the timekeeper here and say I'm gonna give you another 3 minutes because we've had so many questions coming in,
Cool. We will
and I want to
speed it
ask
up.
at least
Yes,
a couple of them.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yes. Cool. Train for skills. Do it fast. So very early we were asked from our colleagues, so how much time do I need to spend on this? What do I tell my manager? So we took our best guess and created this very early and said, well, this is the time estimating that you need to take for the training, like news editor, 3 hours, paid editors, 5 hours. If you want to do the clarification hub, that takes 8 hours and stuff like that. But also sharing with people, it's not done here. You need to spend time on it afterwards. It takes time. So this was something that also was very appreciated with the organization, because all our editors could go to their managers and tell, hey, I need to do this. I need to spend time on that. Yes, I'll move on fast. Of course, as we have a lot of material on our intranet where they can find more help. There are, as Hanne said, there's the lookbooks, there's the news editor corner, there are SharePoint tutorials, and everything we could reuse from Microsoft, we stole and shared that, and we built some few stuff on our own. So there's a universe where people can go in and find a lot of the help that they need in order to do all their work. We also had a lot of other interactions. We have something we were engaging a lot. We have something that's called DEE Forum. This is where we shared updates, tips and tricks, and people could ask questions. They were also encouraged to put in their own tips and tricks. So we have this community during the whole build phase, and we still have it, where people can share whatever, if they have questions or whatever. And we told people, instead of sending a mail to me and Hanne, share it in here, because if you have that question, there's probably a lot of other people who have it. So that really works well. We still have a monthly meeting with all the editors and area owners where we share updates. They can ask questions. It was also heavily used during the build phase. We had a lot of videos, tips and tricks we shared with people. And then we had, during the whole build sessions, we have every Thursday, we had a session called Ask the Experts, a morning and afternoon session, since we are a global organization, where we showed up as the experts and people could ask whatever questions they had if they was just struggling with something. So that's what we did to help them. And to you, Hanne, you have 1.5 minutes, I guess. Yeah. So to wrap up.
So what we gained from our clarification canvas approach, it's actually a tie back to how we operate in Danfoss. We use this plan, do, check, act approach. And really for us, we learned, set clear expectations, back it up with templates and timelines, and talk about the process that you're doing with those that are building the different sites. Create the material that will support them. Don't be afraid of the dialogue. It's actually the dialogue that will reveal all the needs from within the organization that you need to act upon as the owner. And take the time to review sites, ideally together with them on meetings. But we had a big backload of things we needed to do basically in a couple of days. So we did it ourselves and shared information with them afterwards. But ideally, sit with them, talk, have the dialogue around why is it done like this? Maybe it should be changed here and there. And keep the dialogue running. It is a process, and it's an ongoing process. And the second you leave it, both as an editor or us or the area owner, it will start to be cluttered or outdated. That's the nature of content. Content surface from everywhere, and we need to keep track of what we are sharing is relevant for the users. So keep the dialogue going. Then you will have the aligned editors. You will have a lot better connection with them. You will see that you have content over quality. And the end result is actually that your users will really like it, because then they will start to find what they're looking for. They will find that it is relevant, that they find the latest information available. So I think with that said, that was our experience.
Fantastic. You're getting lots and lots of reactions. There are so many questions in the Q&A. So Jørn and Hanne, thank you so much for sharing this. If you want to stop sharing, then I think we'll be able to see your lovely faces in large format, because I want to ask a couple of questions from the Q&A, and apologies for those that we don't have time to go through all of them. But Jørn and Hanne, after this talk, if you jump into the Q&A, there's lots of questions that I'm sure you'd be able to give some replies to directly in there. I just want to ask two that catch my eye. The first one is from Nana, who asks, what was the overall timeline for launching your new intranet from start of project until go live?
Well, there was a bit of stop and go in between where we did it, but we actually kept our timeline with plus 1 month, because when we were close to the finish line, it was September, we were supposed to go shut down the old one, and then people were starting, oh, then we don't have time for holidays. So we extended with 1 month just so that people should not miss their holidays. But I think, Hanne, what did it take from the early start? Was it 1.5 years?
Yeah, I think we actually had the pre-launch. That was a silent launch with really no content in it in December, 1st of December. Maybe we started 1st of November then. And then the final launch with the big launch, that was end of September.
Okay. Second question I want to ask, and we have like a minute, really quick response to this, but if there's a short version, a question from Ernst. Once the canvas are in place and the sites are launched, longer term, who's monitoring, how often, how much monitoring is automated?
We don't automate a lot of things, but the organization that you saw with the IT being the technical support, they're making sure everything is flying, and also trying to help us whenever SharePoint introduce something new or tackle some changes here. Otherwise, it's HR, it's global services, and it's Nurka and I. So we are basically 4 people, 4.5 person that is taking the leading role here, and we do the review together with all the actors.
So all of this structure and the planning and the organization up front is giving you the superpower to be, do more than 4 people's work in a really efficient way.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks so much. Really appreciate you kicking off the festival with such an interesting talk. The chat's been going crazy. The Q&A's been going crazy. Please do, if you have time, stick around and go into the Q&A. I'm sure there'll be some people reaching out to you afterwards. Also, do remember, share your LinkedIn profiles or ways that people can connect with you. Fantastic, because I'm sure lots of people will want to reach out and say, hey, tell me more. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
A pleasure.